Hello and welcome to Turning Point Tactics and this episode of Metawatch for the 24th of November. I appreciate that this has been a little while since the last one, which I did back on the 27th of October, which you can go and have a look on the channel and you can see how much things have changed since then. I did an episode yesterday focusing on the World Championships of Warhammer, so that's a dedicated episode just looking at that. So if you want to look at that, what the World Championships was like, I suggest you go and have a look at that one. But this episode is me focused on the UK meta specifically. I'm going to cover 10 UK events that's happened since the 27th of October. I'm going to cover some general Games Workshop news that Games Workshop told me to, or asked if I can promote, which I will obviously do. I'm going to talk about some upcoming UK events. I'm going to talk about the wider meta, win rates, percentages and that sort of stuff. Talk about some of the teams that are doing well. For subscribers, I'm going to be handing out a tactical tip, so if you're a subscriber, stay tuned for that. And then finally, I'll finish up with a Patreon priority question as I do usually. So with all that said, there's a lot to cover, so let's get straight into it. Hello and welcome to Turning Point Tactics, the competitive Killteam 40k YouTube channel focused on giving you the strategies and tactics to seize initiative every turning point. I'm your host Ryan and I'm here to help give you the tips and tricks to elevate every part of your Killteam experience. So no matter if you're a casual or a competitive player, there should be something here for you. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's a few ways you can go about doing so. You can join the Patreon, where you get access to members only Discord, Patreon priority questions, early access to content, exclusive content and tournament awards. Or if you find yourself buying Killteam goodies or hobby supplies, you can use one of our affiliate links in the description below or discount codes with Crossfire Games and GG Prints. We're always keen to hear your thoughts and feedback, so don't leave that comment box empty, let us know what you think. Once again, thanks for your support, and with all that said, let's get into it. Okay, so let's begin straight away talking about the UK events that have happened since the 27th of October up to the 24th of November. So firstly, you can see the map, which is all the UK events that are or have been happening over the area, which for those who want to see where events are happening local to you, you can see there's loads happening up in the north at the moment, round by London, all that sort of stuff, and even down in the southwest. So if you're near one of those areas, then hey, guess what? There's Killteam players near you that are looking for tournament games, looking for games locally that they want to get involved with. So that's just an area of an idea of where those games are happening. Now, there is a link I'm going to give in a second where you can find out more information about more games. But we're going to get straight into it because there is a lot of events to cover. I'm going to kind of rattle through these and just give some quick takes on the top three and why I think that they're doing well. So firstly, we're doing the Slaughter in the Northern Quarter, which is a Deadwood game, which is up in the sort of Manchester area. And in first place is Tom Robinson, Yorkshire Killteam representative with his Inquisitorial Agents. So for those who don't know, Tom's a really good player. He represented the UK at WTC and rocking his Inquisitorial Agents, which I'm not surprised to see doing well. I think this is a team that's particularly slept on at the moment. They don't seem to be massively popular within the meta, but actually I think they have all of the tools to be a very, very successful Horde team. And I think potentially could be one of the best Horde teams. They just need the right sort of player to jump on them. Now, they are unfortunately a very complex team to play, which is why a lot of players I think don't want to necessarily do it. And you also have to invest potentially in quite a lot of miniatures, right? Because you need to have both the exaction, you need to have Kazakh in to be, I would suggest, even remotely competitive. You need to have those two on your roster. Then you need some roster options itself within Inquisitorial Agents. And then there's a few other options that you may want to have. But they're definitely a rewarding team to be able to, to play if you can learn their rules and also have a really in-depth knowledge of your opponent's rules, because knowing what you can and can't turn off and which operatives you can and can't deny are critical to this team's success. So a really strong team with a really strong pilot. I'm not surprised to see Tom taking first place. Congrats, Tom, on your win here. In second place, Elliot Rushton, another great player. He went out to the World Championships with his Goremongers, rocking from Killteam Lancashire. Again, Goremongers, I've seen how Elliot plays with his team. He's a really good player with his team. I would love to have seen actually this sort of final. If there was a fourth round, I reckon that would have been a really interesting match between Elliot and Tom, because they're both very good players, very good teams into each other, and I think that's a very interesting matchup. But Goremongers are in a good place against a lot of teams, but they're quite polarizing, I think, in the meta when it comes to how they can deal with double shooting teams, in my opinion, right? So if you're a fast double shooting team, you're going to be able to shut down Goremongers quite well. Now, the big menace that's coming around the corner for Goremongers, I think, is going to be the Wolf Scouts. I think the Wolf Scouts have everything they need to be able to counter this team quite effectively. and I think that might be a bit of a problem or a stumbling block for the Goremongers, right? Because yeah, like Wolf Scouts can run up and double shoot you. They have guard to be able to shoot you. They have a ability to reduce the amount of attacks you have, so you're less reliable, less likely to be able to get the crits you need to be able to force you the damage you need to be able to kill people. You're more likely to get parried out with access to lethal fire and that sort of stuff. And the damage at the end of the fight action is critical to getting around the damage mitigation when it comes to surviving. And I believe that's going to happen like straight away. So therefore, before you heal up, you're going to be killed by this damage at the end. So really good performance by Elliot, rushing into to second place with his Goremongers. But I wonder if he'll stay on this team or if he's going to jump on something new based on the new meta that's coming forwards. Interesting to see. Let us know what you're doing, Elliot. In third place is Oliver Taylor-Holmes, Deadwood aficionado, and a Tio up there actually as well, running as a Tempestus Aquilans. I think Tempestus Aquilans are in a good place. They have a really strong ball control, and like interesting looking at the scores, he's got a 21, a 9, and a 21. So maxing on 2 games is really impressive to be able to do. So I'm gonna guess that he's probably doing something like retrieval to be able to do this, because I think Aquilans do retrieval really well. They have so much board presence that they can basically force you off of the main objectives early, and then take that item without committing much, maybe like a warrior or something like this, and then run away with it, right? Access to free mission actions, all that sort of stuff is really, really strong. Depending upon the crit up, they can do really well. And into elites, with so much access to piercing and being able to, on open board stage, so high on advantages that you can't necessarily interact with them, they're in a really strong place. So congratulations to Oliver for getting third place with Tempestus Aquilans. Looks like a good event. Rolling straight into the next one, which is the Norwich Killteam Awesome Tournament. I'm gutted to have missed this one because I know Norwich do have some fantastic events. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in making the journey out to the sort of southeast, it's worth it. Go see the team down there. They're an awesome bunch, and probably I'd say the best social media kill team that I know. I mean, it's between them and Killteam Florida. I think they do a fantastic job as well. But I think Norwich takes the crown for best social media. Or if there's someone else out there, give them a shout out. Who's doing better social media than Killteam Norwich? Let us know. Anyway, in first place is Andrew Humphreys. Humphreys? Unsure. Andrew with his Synoptic Circle. Not surprised the Synoptic Circle taking the top spot as per usual. They have received some nerfs in the latest errata with the way that they can play with their envoys and the retrieve ability and that sort of stuff. So it's interesting to see how those trickle out, but I'm not sure they're going to be massively impactful to the overall win percentage of the team, but I guess we'll see as the sort of the season continues to patter out. But great to see Andrew still in the top spot with Synoptic Circle. I talked a lot more about Synoptic Circle in yesterday's episode, so go check out the Metawatch about the World Championships of Warhammer to learn more about that. In second place is Stephen Henderson with his Raveners. Which is awesome to see. So Raveners got a few sort of they got nerfed in the balanced data slate. Nothing really, I don't think, changed in the errata for them. I guess other than their ability to counter flank with such large bases. But they were already, I guess, kind of struggling for that because they didn't want to have the ball presence as was. They like to do the sort of ambush tactics. But doing really well here with going undefeated with 3 wins piloted by Stephen. So I think Raveners remain in a decent place. They're not a bad team. They've got some good matchups, some bad matchups. I think the nerf to Writhe into sight now being Writhe out of sight, which is what the name was always. But I think that probably hurts a lot of their play style. They're harder to catch people out with a really long bomb charge. So you have to plan ahead a lot more with this team now and think about what you're doing and think, where am I going to be able to get this positioning to be able to achieve what I want to achieve, not just be able to go, I'm putting a tunnel 5 inches forwards, I'm appearing into the tunnel and then charging 9 inches away from that, because that's a pretty hard counter for most teams to be able to get around with. So congratulations on your performance and getting second place. In third place is Owen Dougal with his Vespid Stingwings. I've played Owen a few times. He's a really good player, really nice dude. I haven't ever played him running Vespid. I think he always was running like a Brood Brother conversion team and Harlequins, I want to say. And was it Gillipox? Anyway, first time on Vespid as far as I'm aware, and doing really well with Vespid, going undefeated, 3 wins, which is awesome to see. Vespid are an interesting place. They actually seem to be performing quite well, but I think they're very like polarizing on map. So I played against a good friend of mine on Tomb World with Vespid, and it felt very. I was playing Deathwatch. It felt very in my favour. And I played against another one of my good friends on open board, and it felt much closer. So I feel like they just seem to struggle a little bit on the interactions when it comes to Tomb World. So maybe there's something there that the team needs for being able to get around hatchways and doors or something. I'm not really too sure, but I think the other thing that's like part of their core identity, which doesn't help them on Team World or on any sort of ITD in general, I guess, is the whole like needing to move first to be able to charge up their guns, to get balance, to get piercing, whatever. Like actually kind of hurts them when it comes to teams that can guard, right? Because if you just sit in the open, you usually get shot first and then someone runs away, right? But you're always getting your shoot first. Whereas with Vespid, they have to move first, and then you get to guard them, and then they get to do their shoot, right? So if they live, then they get to do it again. But for teams that have access to guard, that makes it really difficult for Vespid to be able to interact. So that's like a challenging one to be fixed, in my opinion. But didn't seem to stop Owen going 3-0. Congratulations for his win there with third place with his Vespid Stingwings. And then in fourth place, I'm only mentioning it because they're also undefeated, and clearly for 3 rounds that's the best way to do. And just be really quick, saying Goremongers. Congratulations to Steph Brooks with Goremongers. Not much more to add on my last discussion from Elliot and his Goremongers, but congratulations for going undefeated at the Norwich tournament. Next, we're into Pendulum Gaming, a little smaller event, but just quickly, I guess the main one in first place is Chris Rowan with his Tempestus Aquilans. No more really to be said about Tempestus Aquilans other than congratulations to Chris for going first place with them. And then Samuel Hudson coming in second with Corsair Voidsguard, and Ryan Hudson coming in third with Wrecker Crew. Condolences to Max Brain, who clearly had a rough time against this meta with his Deathwatch. Next up, we're into a Yorkshire Killteam weeknight Warzone. So they often just run these, I think, in the evenings, just to sort of give people a bit of structure and stuff, and it means that you just get a bit more reps in. I think it's actually a really good way of being able to track a lot of the casual games that happen in the community. So maybe we should do a bit more of this, just like throw them up, get some people paired up, and away you go, and just do 2 rounds quite quickly on an evening. But anyway, Yorkshire Killteam. In first place, Ryan Worthington rocking Deathwatch. So he's obviously moved off with the Vespid hype chain that he had previously, and picking up the Deathwatch for his enjoyment and doing really well with them. So getting 2 wins there. I think Deathwatch are in an okay place. I think they have answers to most of the problems that exist within the meta. But I think there are like some teams that give Deathwatch a really hard time, and not just that. But pretty much every single person that you are playing against right now has a lot of experience into Deathwatch. So you have to be a good Deathwatch player to know what you're doing, because you're not going to catch people out, right? Because people know what this team do now, right? They're like the most popular team in the game, and people better have a game plan for how you beat Deathwatch when it comes to tournament games. Otherwise, you're going to lose probably over 50% of your games. Next up is Leo Wilson with his Wrecker Crew. Leo's been doing pretty well with Wrecker Crew over the last few tournaments that I've seen him at. I think enjoying that that team like vibe when it comes to Wrecker Crew. I've been talking to like a few Wrecker Crew players. I've listened to sort of Command Point Shane, that sort of stuff, talking about how they play them. Ben Bratwell Tabletop was rocking them out for World Championships as well. And I think they're just a really good team. I think there's some secret sauce there that I like the fact that they can just make on open board a whole bunch of one-way sort of attack routes with accessible with Breaker Boys. That's really cool, and I think those sorts of abilities are something that you can play into quite well. But it's a bit asymmetric because you don't get those advantages when you're playing like Tomb World or something like this. Maybe there's something that they need like on Tomb World or on ITD in general, where you just need terrain that you can breach through, but it gives you like a -2 movement unless you have one of these abilities to make it -1 or something like that. To give these teams that have this ability a little bit more something. I guess they can smash opponents' equipment, which is quite useful. But I think it's a good meta for Wrecker Crew. I said that on yesterday's video. I think they like going into elite heavy meta. They've got some really high damage weapons. They've got the Wrecker points to make it reliable. particularly if you're doing like a melee charge and you just need one hit or something like this. Yeah, nice, you got it. So I think they're in a great place. So congrats, Leo, on your second place. Josh coming in third place with Tempestus Aquilans. Congratulations. No more for me to say on Tempestus Aquilans, other than congratulations to Josh. Okay, into the Rookie Rumble, a Killteam starter event, which is amazing to see. So we like to see as much as possible beginner events, right? Like I say it to every event that I run. The most important people that come to a tournament are the people who are turning up to a tournament for a first time, right? So it's that new blood that's being injected into your tournament. That's the most important thing. And running these sort of beginner events, which sort of focus on getting those people in, is how we make the game better and how we get more people playing Killteam, more enjoyment, all that sort of stuff going forward. So if you're a TO, if you're a tournament player, whatever, you're a diehard, whatever you want to do, make sure you find those people that are turning up to the event for the first time and give them the best possible event they can have. Because that's how we grow the community, right? Anyway, let's talk about top three. So in first place, Matthew Impey with his Deathwatch, going 3-0. So congratulations to Matt for doing so well with your Deathwatch. Second place is Zoltan Party with his Angels of Death, and this is awesome to me. Like someone taking Angels of Death and just going and slaying out with them. It's like, yeah, everyone's on the hype chain about Deathwatch. Not interested. I'm going to rock Angels of Death. I'm going to go old school vanilla Space Marines and just do what needs to be done. Angels of Death are interesting because, so I don't think they're that strong personally. I think they need a buff. I think they need a little bit more help than they currently have. There's a few things that I think this team would like. Firstly, raw damage, I think they lack, right? So I think they lack the ability just to match like a Deathwatch plasma cannon, or a Legionary melter gun, or a Nemesis claw melter gun, or anything like this. Like enemy elite teams have ways to one-shot Angels of Death models, and it doesn't feel like Angels of Death have that, right? They've always been like a volume-based team. I think if you gave them access to both the Heavy Intercessor and the Eliminator, I think that'd be fine. You could then have the Captain, Heavy Intercessor, Eliminator, an Intercessor Gunner, an Assault Grenadier, and then a Flex model, and you choose if you want to have an Assault Intercessor or a regular Intercessor, and I think that'd be fine. I think you could also give those two warrior options, the standard warriors, just a little bit more, like something interesting to make it a bit more out there. And I think that the sergeant options, who are currently, I would say, not competitive choices, should be just buffed up a little bit. I like what they did with the Deathwatch Sergeant. So basically you get 2 free ploys. That's nice and simple. As long as they're like an Angel of Death ploy, you get a free Shat ploy, you get a free Firefight ploy. That's nice and easy. And I think maybe increasing their Doctrines rerolls for them specifically would be pretty cool as well as having additional faction power. I think those combined would lead to a pretty good competitive choice in comparison to the Captain. And then the final thing I say about Angels of Death, which is I think the main key difference that we're seeing between Wolf Scouts, Deathwatch, and now Angels of Death, is how you control the board post you doing things. So I actually say this Nemesis Claw as well. So counteracts are an amazing addition to the game, right? In how they allow you to control the board. Deathwatch have the ability to flip their order and be able to do a counteract, and that allows you to have so much more additional board presence than you would do normally. They also have access to a gunner who can guard on open board as well as guard twice on ITD. And that just lets you have a whole lot more board presence, because if you go within 2 inches of any of their operatives, they can potentially flip to engage and charge you. Nemesis Claw, they do it in a different way, right? They have the sort of the chain snares, so they're going to charge into you, they're going to hold onto you, and you're not going to be able to fall back. So they get this board control through sort of holding onto your models and playing like a huggy kill team, and also board control through using Vox Screen, denying your activations and that sort of thing. And they can delay your activations, or their own activations, to be able to sort of wait out when they need to. Angels of Death don't have that, really. So they have the sniper that can counteract or conceal and can shoot, and they have the ability to do 2 counteracts for a CP, but they don't have the same level of board control, in my opinion. Like the sniper is locked into one area, and usually at range they're sort of don't charge someone in the open, or don't shoot where I can shoot you, and you're probably fine. But most people, because it's counteract, they're going to move out, they're going to shoot someone, they're going to run away again, or they're going to charge someone, fight them, and then the game's over, whatever. So or turning point's over. So I think like Angel of Death, I think if their Wrath of Vengeance let them change order, I think that'd be a really interesting change for the team. I think that would make them a much more interesting team to play and a much more spicy team to go against. Clearly though, all of that being said, Zoltan didn't need it, so he was out there crushing, slapping around with Angels of Death at this rookie rumble, which was awesome to see. And finally, Anthony Henry with his Rattlings going 2 wins and a draw and taking third place. So Rattlings got a big buff in the last update. We'll see how they continue to perform. Anthony clearly taking them to a successful third place. I think they have a lot of movement now, and they have a lot of like tricks to help them deal with the current meta. I'm unsure like how this team's going to perform. I think they can do really well. Like I think their ability to the last one's ability to be able to take objectives without like any sort of counter is really impactful on certain crit ops, right? So on the like the upload crit ops or the data crit ops, sorry, where you need to sort of stack a whole bunch of points and then on the last turning point upload it. The ability for them to be able to just say, yeah, I can take that and there's nothing you can do about it is huge. Right? Like that is really, really big. And with that the sort of raider guy who can do that from so far away, you have to be really careful as to how you protect your objectives against this sort of team. So there's a bit of a crit up dependency there because depending upon the map and the mission, that may never come up, and therefore you may be in a position where you go, I don't actually really care about this. Like if you're playing like Transmission or something, well, who cares? Like but if you're playing like State Claim, you probably don't care either. But if you're playing like one of those key missions, that ability alone just makes this team feel so much stronger. So congrats, Anthony, on your third place with Rattlings. Rolling straight into the Killteam tournament in Bracknell. In first place, Ed Deason with Mandrakes. So I talked a lot about Mandrakes yesterday. I don't want to talk too much more about them, but I do think they're in a good spot in the meta. They like the elite matchups. They actually like quite a lot of matchups. There's very few matchups that they find unfavourable at the moment, looking at the stats. But we know stats aren't everything. But they are, they're doing pretty well. And I'm interested to see how this trend continues. Like, are more people going to continue to jump onto Mandrakes because essentially they've been popularized by their success, or was that just like a one-off thing? Are they going to fade back into the shadow, so to speak? But clearly, Ed Deason has found the good stuff, found the secret sauce on Mandrakes, and taken them to a first place win at Bracknell. In second place, Angels of Death, piloted by Adam James, with 2 wins and a loss. Congratulations, Adam. I have no more really to say on Angels of Death. And in third place, Jack James with Vespid Stingwings, going at 2 wins and a loss. So congratulations to all 3 of you for your tournament performances. Next up, we're at Killzone Curtain 6. And Matt Binnell has taken the first place with his Tempestus Aquilans. So I don't really have, again, any much more to say on Tempestus Aquilans. I tried to cover it as much as I could in the other ones, but congratulations to Matt performing well with them. Thomas, I'm going to butcher this, I'm going to say it's Pardo. Thomas Pardo with his Deathwatch coming in second place, 2 wins and a single loss, and maxing in his first game. Awesome to see. Doing really well with Deathwatch, out there slaying it with just 5 operatives. That's all you need. Congratulations, Thomas, in second place. And then in third place is Thomas Jeffrey, going a loss and 2 wins with his Imperial Navy Breaches. Breaches are like an interesting one for me because I don't know where this team sits. Like, I feel like they are just a bit of a turtle team. They're very, very defensive. And I'm not 100% sure how well they're going to do in the meta. My concern with Breaches, this is my opinion, we're heading into a meta which has a lot of elite teams, and I feel like Breaches have very few tools to deal with elites. So they have a melter gun, they have a plasma gun, and they have like a power weapon, and they have a big 5-6 damage melee weapon. So they have like 4 tools, or that's what it feels like. I might be wrong from more experienced Breacher players, but to me, that's what it feels like. And generally, the way it works now is it feels like as soon as you lose one of those key tools, particularly the melter gun, you really start lacking the oomph to be able to kill the models that you need to kill. And durability is good to a point, but if you don't have the ability to remove models, some of these teams can just do the damage they need to do. And at that point, I think you're done. So an interesting one for breaches. Maybe I'm missing something. So if you're a breacher fan, if you know what the secret sauce is for this team, what do you guys think? What does this team need, or what don't they need? Are they better into elite matchup than I think they are, or are they struggling there? Congratulations to all three for their performance in that tournament. Next up is the Lubats Killteam tournament. So David Kennedy is a really good player. He was playing Deathwatch at LGT. I assume that is the same David Kennedy, but maybe there's more. Assuming it is, he was playing Deathwatch at LGT, a sort of consistent elite player, switching on to Legionary and going 3 wins and undefeated and taking first place. So congratulations to David. Interestingly, I don't think Legionary are in a good place at all. So I'll be really interested to hear David's thoughts on this team and why he took it. Was it because this was a beginner event and he wanted to be on a bit more casual, or is it that there's some secret sauce that I am missing potentially when it comes to Legionary? Thoughts, people, like what do you think? For me, I just couldn't gel with them. They felt a little bit too slow. They felt a little bit too restricted in their ability to deliver ranged effects. I liked having a bit more of a blend, a bit more of a threat range out beyond just the sort of the getting stuck into melee. But maybe I'm wrong. Second place goes to Tom Lowry with his Vespid Stingwings. Congratulations, Tom. And third place goes to Southam Wisty Panish. I've probably absolutely butchered that. I'm sorry if I have. With Plague Marines, single loss and 2 wins. Plague Marines are an interesting place. So we saw them do okay at the World Championships. They were taken to, I believe, just outside top 16, I think. But I'm still not sure how well they do into some of those harder elite matchups. In my opinion, I think that Deathwatch are quite good into them. They have the raw damage to be able to exceed what they need to kill the Plague Marines. And I think that's probably going to be the same for the upcoming teams as well, but maybe I'm mistaken. It felt like the nerf to Contagion is a bit harsh for them. I'm a bit before going into the melee, I'm thinking this is going to be a horrible matchup going into this team in melee. But now I'm like, oh, actually, I can probably make this work. So that's just my thoughts on a slow, durable team that seems to lack damage output in comparison to the other elites. Next up, we have Operation Oatcake, Sleigh Bells. So in first place, Thomas Shaw, not a surprising name to see at the top slot, running Nemesis Claw, back on the old Claw, and repping Yorkshire Killteam, taking first place. Nemclaw, this is, I believe, as far as I'm aware, post-nerfs, right? So they changed the Vox screen, not holding back Tom. Because I think a lot of their key fundamentals of gameplay aren't massively changed if you learn how to use that sort of hug team ability into a lot of teams. But the elite matchup has become a lot more interesting for them, I think, because the melter gun threat is now significantly less than it was before, and there's a little bit when it comes to sort of initiative dependency in there, which you don't have the reliability of Vox Scream that you did previously. In second place is Oliver Taylor Holmes again from Deadwood with his Tempestus of Quillins. So congrats, Ollie, for getting your second place at Operation Oatcake. And then in third place is Billy Thorley with his Blades of Cain, going 2 wins and a loss. So interestingly, Billy Thorley, Blades of Cain, not performing as well at WCW as I thought they would. Maybe the sort of popularity is dropping off a little bit with this team. But I think they're there or thereabouts, just they're fine. They've got some good matchups, they've got some bad matchups, but they're kind of just like a standard elf team, right? They're fragile, they're fast, they do some good damage, but they're not crazy good at anything in particular. But what's your guys' thoughts on Blades of Cain? Am I overgeneralizing them? I think they're good. I think they're an A tier team. They can win stuff. They can do things. But they're also kind of they're not oppressive. But maybe that's just me. I do wonder how they're going to deal with Wolf Scouts though. I feel like Wolf Scouts do what Blades of Cain do, but kind of better, because Wolf Scouts have access to a lot of 4/5 damage, a lot of 4/5 damage, and this team does not like seeing a lot of 4/5 damage. So yeah, interesting one. I'll be interested to see how that goes out. Next and finally, rolling off the UK event or finishing off, there was a teams event which was run by the UKTC and Pete, one of the sort of the main sort of players. Now, I'm just going to say that you know, these are the teams that won. So I'm really into Thousand Sons Lore is actually Dan Barton, Guy Barton, and Nick Collins. Old Ones Reckoning, I'm pretty sure, is the other half of the Old Ones. Let me just double check to see if I have lied. No, Bart, Mikkel, and Serkan. And finally, it was, I want to say, Yorkshire Killteam. Yeah, Yorkshire Killteam. Where is Yorkshire Killteam on this list? I'm assuming it's alphabetical down at the bottom, with Declan, Harrison, and Tom Shaw. So let's just go through those just quickly so you can see what's being played. So Tom was on his Nemesis Claw, makes perfect sense. Harrison was on Canoptic Circle. So for those who don't know, Harrison was playing Hierotech Circle at the World Team Championships and has subsequently moved on to Canoptic, which makes perfect sense. And Declan is usually one of the TOs up at the Yorkshire Killteam on Inquisitorial Agents, and he's played them pretty consistently throughout the edition and has a pretty good track record. So 3 strong players, 3 strong factions, makes sense where they get to. Next up, let's talk about Old Ones Reckoning. So Bart on his Hearthkin Salvages. I think Hearthkin are a really good place at the moment. So the win rate for them is kind of low, which I'm surprised about, because I think actually this team has like some really strong weapons and some strong abilities into the current meta. But I'm happy to be proven wrong on that one. Mikkel rocking his Exaction Squad. For those who don't know, Mikkel like basically consistently plays Exaction Squad and is pretty damn good with them now. So I'm interested to see how he continues to perform with his Exaction Squad going forwards. And Serkan picking up the Canoptic Circle requirement. Someone has to play that team, right? So to be competitive, and Serkan has jumped on Canoptic Circle to be the competitive choice for this matchup. So, but 3 really strong players, 3 really strong factions in my opinion, and some good options into the meta. And then finally, we talked about, I'm really into Thousand Sons Lore, which is the Barton clan and Nick Collins from Crossfire Games. Oh, embarrassing. So Canoptic Circle for Dan Barton makes perfect sense. He was rocking them out at the World Championships and is a top tier player with that faction and in general. Guy Barton, still on Inquisitorial Agents. I do think that team is strong. I think it has loads of counter pick. It's really useful in a team setting because you can play against so many different factions so effectively. So it's good as a defender to be able to throw it out and say, yep, deal with this. And Chaos Cults with Nick is a great counter pick for a lot of things because again, they can do well into a lot of teams. A lot of the elf teams, like a lot of the teams that aren't ready or set up for a melee focused game, are going to struggle into Chaos Cult. So 3 again strong players, and therefore all 3 of those have gone undefeated. So this I guess could have gone either way in the 4th round. But congratulations to all 3 of those teams and all 9 of those players for your performance. So that is the end of the UK events focus, and hopefully that was useful. So if there's an event that I've missed that you guys participated in, you're like, hey, that wasn't on there, check that it was on BTB, and if I've missed it, please chuck it in the description below, chuck a comment and say, hey Ryan, you missed this event, with a link to the event, and then I can hopefully cover it in next week's episode. But hopefully that puts me back up to date before I head out of the country again. So that's what I want to try and do. Now, on to the next segment. I got a request from Games Workshop to try and publicise some of the main events that they have going on at the moment, and they have 2 events at the moment, which is ways for you to basically win free stuff by doing not a lot of things. So I think I'll just quickly show you what those are, because I do think it makes sense. So the ITC season of 2025 has come to an end. And essentially, ITC season 2026 is just about to start. And Games Workshop wants to try and get you in amongst it and ready for the next ITC season. And if you go on to Best Coast Pairings, link your My Warhammer account to it, and do all of that sort of stuff, then you might be able to win all of the Codex and Battle Tomes. Not too applicable for us in Killteam, but if you play broader games, it's a free thing for you to do, right? Hey, and if you do that in the next 6 days, you'll be entered into that prize draw. Additionally, they have another event, which is the 50 years of Warhammer, and it's basically staff and that sort of stuff talking about their various stories. And this is, again, if you go in and just sign into your My Warhammer account, which you will do if you do the other one, you get entered into this prize draw as well. The articles are here, so if you're interested, you can then just go on these, read these articles, learn about what Warhammer's going on, and just sign up to BCP with your My Warhammer account, and you'll log straight in. It's nice and easy. Do that before the 30th of November, and you can potentially win some free stuff. Nice and easy. I thought I'd publicise that as a service announcement. Okay, next up we're talking about upcoming UK events. So for those who don't know, if you go to this website, talkify.com/KT events/pinboard, you get this lovely thing that you can see on the left hand side, put together by one of the members of the Lincoln community. Shout out to Simon, such a great job that he does. And essentially it shows you all of the various events that are going on in the local area, and lets you just sign up and commit to those events. So the main ones, I'll just go through the sort of the first couple. So on the 29th of November, you have the Wake the Titans, which is Once Upon a Killteam narrative event. They did a great Killteam podcast, and Norwich Killteam I talked about previously. They're doing a combined event. It's a narrative event in Norwich, 3-round casual on the 29th of November. At the same time, in a different part of the country, in Yorkshire Killteam, they're doing a Sparks and Skirmishes event in Sheffield. So that's that. On the 30th of November, the Invitational event is happening in Lincoln. And then on the 6th of December, you have the Leicester GT for UKTC, which is the start of the new UKTC season, for those who aren't aware. And you can buy tickets for that at uktc.events/Killteam. Next up, on the same day, but in London, you have Rolling Zeros, which is the local sort of gaming guild, one of them, doing a Marine Arena 2 Deathwatch Deathmatch, which I'm pretty sure is you just take Deathwatch and you just play as many games Deathwatch as you want. So if you want to learn how to beat Deathwatch, this is potentially a way to do it. I think there is the rules in this, I might be wrong. Is this the one where they're doing it where you can only use each operative until they die, and when they die they're not allowed to be used anymore? That might be that one. But you can find out more information by clicking in and going on to there. On the 13th of December, you have Yorkshire Killteam running their Christmas event in Sheffield. And on the 20th of December, you have the Notts Killteam running their Christmas event in Sutton in Ashfield. I think it's going to be the last event that Jason runs for a little while. So he's hoping to try and get a big blowout at the end. So I recommend you get your tickets to this. I need to book my tickets actually because I'm a little behind. And I'm planning for my dad to turn up, Papa Nurgle, for those who don't know, to come to this event as well. So if you want to see me, you want to see Papa Nurgle, you want to see Jason, all the Notts guys, turn up to this event on the 20th of December. I skipped over it, but there is a Venator event, on the 13th of December in Bedworth. On the same day, sorry, I should just cover these last two because it makes sense. There is another Christmas event in the Manchester region run by the Deadwood crowd. That's like in Stockport. So if you can't get down to Notts, or you can't get to one of the other events, then you have that option as well as a counter offer if it's more local to you. But those are the options that are out there. Now, on the 10th of January, I am going to be running in fact, it's the 11th of January, not 10th of January, immediately messing up. I'm going to be running a Killteam event on behalf of the UKTC for the UKTC Nottingham event. It'll be a 3-round classified event for a golden ticket, happening on the Sunday, the 11th of January. It'll be a bit more of a chilled vibe. It's kind of supposed to be like part of the intro to the UKT season, and the focus being, let's get in, let's make sure we're familiar with the rules, familiar with the missions, all that sort of stuff, and kind of set the scene for the UKTC in 2026. So if you're interested in doing that, come play with us on the 11th of January in Nottingham to be able to do that. That's what we're going to talk about for upcoming UK events. And then we're into the wider meta, and I'm just going to be really quick on this one because I don't want the episode to run on too long. I've got loads to talk about in the tactical tip, and I've got loads to talk about in the Patreon priority questions. So this is the latest win rates when it comes to the data that's come out today. So this is valid from the 24th, so as hot off the press as you could possibly have. And we'll see that the data sets that we had from yesterday have expanded to cover off more of the data. So thank you once again to Smiles, Eyes and Gunfire, who runs this data collection tool and puts all this information out for people to be able to use. I highly recommend it for your own event preparation. I highly recommend it for your awareness of what's going on in the meta, and it's really interesting. Like, just to be able to see the data. He makes it all available in charts, and he makes it available in tables, and he's got all this stuff that's available, and it's easy and accessible at pretentiousplastic.ops.com, and then you can just go there and you can see everything that you want to see. So there have been a few games, 21 games to be precise, with stealth suits, and they've come out with a 76% win rate. So all the people that were saying that stealth suits are a terrible, terrible team are now, thinking, holy heck, are we being about to be dominated by a new town meta? Clearly, this is 21 games, right? So let's not get too carried away. But it is interesting to see how they've come out the bat absolutely swinging, just straight away with a really high win rate. Let's see how that gets on, and let's not lose our minds just yet, because that is quite a low amount of games, and that might just be some really good players or some really lucky dice. Next up, though, is Canoptech, going to a sort of 60% win rate. Again, just sustaining a very high percentage of win rate with a very large sample size now. Lots of people playing this team and consistently doing pretty well with their stats. So Canoptech definitely not losing their crown anytime soon. Next up is Mandrakes with a 59% win rate and a pretty decent amount of games being played. So definitely seen a surge in popularity since the sort of the Spanish champions have taken them off to World Championships, and a US player as well. Shouldn't forget Adrian. But a growing popularity of team, and doing really consistently well. I think it is worth mentioning that they are in a favourable meta at the moment. A lot of the matchups they quite enjoy. This matchup, though, still is pretty bad for them, as it turns out. They don't like playing against Canoptech. So on average, on paper. So potentially more to learn there. You have to, if you want to be a successful Mandrake player, you've got to figure out how to beat the Canoptech menace. But to be fair, that's true for pretty much everyone. Wolf Scouts, again, this is a very small data set, so let's not go too crazy, but a very strong win percentage straight away with 59%. So this would be quite concerning, I think, for most people, is when you look at the latest box set, having a team at the top, both teams at the top, is kind of worrying. There's only 50 games played, right? So when we check in, in a couple of weeks' time, and this is, closest to 200, 300, 400 games or something, maybe we'll have a more realistic understanding of where this win percentage is. But it's looking pretty good for the two teams as they come out of the box. Again, very small sample size for Star Striders, but doing a pretty good job with 56%. And Felgor, with a decent amount of games played, coming out with 56% as well, if you round it up. So again, this is, I would suggest, I think the top teams that you should be looking out for, I think Stealth Suits might be a red herring, but I think Canoptech's up there, Mandrakes, Wolf Scouts, and Felgor are definitely the ones that you want to try and practice against, in my opinion. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you guys can see the data that you have here. You can roll through it yourself in your own time, and you can see it get updated each week as it happens. The interesting one that I do think is crazy to me, in my personal opinion, is how poorly salvages are performing, down at a 30% win rate, which is nuts. But salvages, battleclade, and scouts, I think need some significant help in the next day of slate. Sorry, not salvages. Sorry, battleclade and scouts, I think need some significant help in the next data slate, as well as probably a reset of how Kill Up works for Hyrotech. Salvages, I think, just need a team to pick them up and run with them. Now, of interest, if you did want to, you can just see the games where classified teams play classified against each other, but you lose about 600 games. So just be aware that, again, reduces the amount of data points that you have, and therefore you might see more skew on results. But clearly you get a subtly different sort of meta. So if you're just interested in what the classified teams are playing, then you can just click on this. I have a question for people, and I'll be interested to know in the comments what you prefer. Would you prefer that in these weekly roundups I just focus on the classified teams, or I continue to do all the teams? I'm kind of happy to do either way, or do you want me to do both? It's probably the next question. So in the comments, do you think I should just focus on all teams, just focus on classified teams, or do 2 separate bits where I run through all the data for both? Let me know what you think. So that is all I'm going to talk about when it comes to wider meta win rates. Cool. So that is the end of the generic show. I do now have a subscriber benefit though. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, thank you very much for helping. This is for you. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, all you have to do is click that subscribe button, and you get to listen to this tactical tip, and it's there for you as a thank you for me for subscribing. As I said, it is really helpful to help grow the channel, help promote it to more people, spread the word, spread the love, try and get more people involved in competitive and that sort of thing. So it really does help. It helps with the algorithm, all this sort of stuff, and it is just a little button click that does a lot for me. So I appreciate you having done that. Okay, so the tactical tip for today is try and force your opponent to make a bad activation. Now, there are some teams that have this just built in, right? So I was talking yesterday about Mandrakes on the World Championship Metawatch, and how one of their key strengths is their leader's ability just to essentially force you to make bad choices by you do a dice roll, you can't do that. Do a dice roll, you can't do that. Do a dice roll, you can't do that. Or using the sort of Dirgemore's ability to say haunting focus. If you go with that guy, I'm going to go first and potentially kill them. Or, you know, I'm going to take your APL buff off of the guy that you want to give it to and make them injured so they can't do the thing that they want to do. So now they can't reach the objective, they can't interact, whatever it is, right? I think that, like, those sorts of abilities are really, really strong. So when you look at a team strength, think about, do I have any ability to interrupt a person's activation? Do I have an ability to remove an APL from a model? Do I have an ability to stop a model from activating when they want to activate? Can I activate, you know, like always all these sorts of things? Like, is there ways that you can move an enemy's model to force it into a worse position? So this is like changing the mindset of the game. Is once you've figured out your own game plan and you're getting to a good point where you go, yeah, I'm now doing the things that I want to do. The next question is like, how do you mess up your opponent's game plan? So I've got a few examples here of teams that I think are really strong and methods in which they do this. And it's something to ponder on. But the main, I guess, tactical tip or lesson to take away is, can you force your opponent to make a bad activation or a suboptimal activation is the way to do it. So firstly, there's one which is like, if you can force a target on your opponent that they don't want to deal with or they don't want to target. There's some really good examples of this. So Canoptech do this very well with their expendable operatives that come back, right? So, hey, here's a warrior. He's doing something. He's contesting an objective. He's contesting your plant banner. He's doing a loot point. He's doing flank. He's whatever he's doing, right? He's doing something that your opponent is unhappy with, but killing them gives them nothing, right? So, or potentially hurts them. So you've charged them into melee, and you know that you're going to get accurate and you're going to get damage when you die. And it means that they're now killing a model in melee that they didn't want to kill, taking damage for do so, and it's giving them nothing, right? So it's an expendable opportunity, that sort of thing. Another example is Wreckers with their bomb squigs. You know, like, I've charged my bomb squig into a variety of models, but if you kill him, you gain nothing. If maybe he blows up and kills people, or he's just going to tie you up, or whatever it's going to be, right? So this is like how can you force people to be into this suboptimal play where they're now dealing with something they didn't want to have to deal with? So yeah, that's the first one. The next one is making your opponent activate a suboptimal model. So this one is using skills like, or abilities like Denounce, using the Mandrake's ability to change who they can activate, using Omni Scramble, or something like this, to basically say, hey, I know you really want to activate this guy right now, but I'm going to put a model or I'm going to use a rule to mean that you can't get that model to be able to activate in the way you want to be able to do it. Another opportunity for this, by the way, is charge blocking. So if you don't have access to any of these things, sometimes like if they have an APL requirement to do something, let's say they need to, it's the only model that they can do that's in range of this objective that they need to be able to achieve to tap it. For them to be able to move that distance and tap, they need to have 3 APL to be able to fall back and do it, or they need to be able to have 2 APL to do it, and you just throw a model in there and charge them, right? So you then charge them, and now suddenly they have to remove the model that's in melee first, or they have to APL buff that model, and it just gives you a bit of breathing space. So rather than them then doing on loot, say, and going, yep, activate loot, you're just throwing that model in there, and you're delaying their ability or delaying their option to activate their most optimal model. So that's a way to force it. So there's an example there, charge blocking, if you don't have any of these abilities. But if you have denounce, if you have dirge more ability, if you have an interrupt ability, if you have whatever it is, you can force them potentially not to activate the model that they want to. Next, you can force them to try and overcommit in a certain way, so to deny something. So a good way of this is, like, let's say you have a banner operative. You're playing a horde game, so you're 3 APL versus 2 APL. Because you have a banner, you can put your banner onto an objective and then force them to potentially move up and put 2 models onto that objective to be able to contest it, or use an APL buff to be able to contest it in ways that they didn't necessarily want to prior. So using those sorts of abilities to force more of your opponent models forward into positions to do things that they don't want to do, just by sitting on an objective rather than sitting next to an objective, say, is a good way of doing it. And then finally, it's threatening multiple areas, models, and objectives. So can you make it so that you split your threats up, split your models up so that they're doing multiple things? So can you have it so that your model is threatening a double kill in one area, and across the other side you've got someone else threatening a double kill? Can you have it so that you're threatening both a flank and you're controlling their home objective? Can you do like all these sorts of things where you're making it so they're having to constantly choose between, do I have the APL to achieve this thing, or do I have the APL to achieve that thing, right? So if you know that you're only going to be able to get some models onto, they have one activation left and it's a 2 APL model, and you go, well, I can throw a model onto your home objective to contest it, and I can throw a second model onto your home objective to contest it with someone else, and now I know that you lack the APL to be able to kill both those models, and therefore you won't be able to remove the contest to your objective, for instance. So threatening multiple models, multiple areas, multiple objectives at the same time means that they're going to be sort of saturated with their decision making and their operatives, and therefore they're forced into a bad activation potentially. None of those, by the way, are like inherently just right outright. You have to apply it to situation. I'm not saying you should just be throwing 2 models onto everyone's objective just because Ryan says make your opponent choose, and then just you do extra first activation, and so you lose both of them. That's not the recommendation. You need to apply some tactical thought. But if you take that mentality of how do I make my opponent make a bad choice, or force them to make a bad choice, you can probably get something out of it. So that's a tactical tip. Hopefully that was useful. And if you were not a subscriber and you listened to that tactical tip and you've been very, very naughty, maybe consider giving us a subscribe. It'd be really appreciated. And clicking the bell so you get notifications when the next episode comes along. Okay, next up is the Patreon priority question. So if you don't know, I run a Patreon. It's £3 a month. It supports the channel. It helps me keep the lights on, or very, very dimly lit lights. But and it helps pay for all my subscriptions that means I can edit stuff and do all the things I need to do, as well as run local gaming tournaments with a sort of a storeroom and that sort of stuff. So it is really appreciated that you support the Patreon, and it really does help us get the channel out there. To pay back the patrons, I put out questions and I say, hey, you guys can ask me whatever questions you want, and I will answer your questions from the patrons on the channel. So one I've had sort of twice now from 2 different sources is how to play faster. I think I'm going to do a dedicated video on this, but I did want to answer the patrons first, and I wanted to give it in a sort of streamlined sort of answer. So the question is how to play faster, and I've got some tips that I'm going to try and roll through as quickly as I can to prove the point that you can do it quickly. Okay, so first up is know your rules. Less checking your rules and more playing is what you need to do, right? So you should know, where possible, your weapon stats, your fighting stats, your durability stats, your saving throw, as easily as you possibly can. If you're not very good at that, then get your app out and favorite your kill team, use it on your app. If you're not a fan of apps, you don't like digital media, you find it really hard to be able to use the phone, whatever, or the screen's too small, get an iPad. If that doesn't work for you, get the data cards, right? If you are a physical rules person and you're finding that I just don't like interacting with the app, I really want physical rules, then I suggest you check out Broken Token. He has a mat where you can lay out all of your kill team cards that you get in the pack, so they're all easily accessible and they're all readable to you, right? Because the other thing I see people do, in the same way that they don't know their rules to be able to quickly reference something, or they don't know where the rules are, they haven't favorited it on the app, or they're playing with the cards, is they then spend ages shuffling through cards trying to find the right data card, or they're trying to find the equipment or the rule, whatever it is, and you're just wasting time trying to find that rule. So if you can't know it off by heart, then the next best thing is, favorite it on the app. If you're a physical person, get the cards presented in a way that makes sense to you. I'm going to do a review of that, by the way, the card holder, because I think it's really good as an alternative. And if that's the sort of person you are, I highly recommend it to you as an alternative to the app. But essentially, that is knowing your rules, so spend less time checking them and more time playing. The next option is less time checking means have tools in place or equipment in place. That means that you spend less time finding the reference that you need, and therefore more time being able to play. This is a separate plea, like GW, please give us a digital rules format with a search function. So when it comes to core rules, that would be awesome. If we could just be able to search key rules and all that sort of stuff, that would be so useful. Broadly, what BattleKit gave us, I know BattleKit is now ported onto a Russian website, and there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are split and divided on that for various reasons. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. But GW, if you were to just give us that feature and format for the community in the next edition, everyone will be massively appreciative, I think. And it will help speed up everyone's games, because when you're trying to find a rule, you just search it in. Hey, what does saturate mean? Type in saturate, it tells you. As a thought. Okay, next up, get a token caddy or an organizational kit that works for you. All right, so the next thing I see people do is they turn up to a table, they've got their bag of tokens, and they're trying to find an engage order, or they're trying to find a conceal order, or whatever it is, the frag grenade, and they're searching through just a Tupperware box of tokens, right? That is going to slow you down, right? As much as you want to say, if you spend 30 seconds trying to find a token, that's 30 seconds you're not thinking about the game. That's 30 seconds that you're wasting, being able to plan ahead or do whatever, because you're just searching for tokens. Now, there is a whole bunch of suggestions that I have for this. You can go on to Crossfire Games, you can use a discount code TPT10, and you're going to save yourself 10% straight away on there. TPT24. It's in the link description below. Just click on the link and it'll take you to Crossfire Games, and you'll save yourself money. They do a token caddy on there, which you can use. It fits in all their system. If Crossfire Games isn't for you, that's fine. I can recommend GG Easy. That's on Etsy. Again, link in the description. You can save yourself money by following that link. They do a storage box setup where it's a horizontal A4 storage box, and it has all laid out for you, right? So you have all your tokens in all the place, and I recommend that you put them back in the same place each time, so that when you get to the table, everything is just muscle memory, right? Oh, where do I get my engage order? It's the same place. Where do I get this from? It's the same place. It just speeds it up, right? Because when you're trying to play a game quickly, you don't want to be looking for stuff. You just want to be able to grab it and go, grab it and go, grab it and go. So get a token caddy, get a organizational system that works for you. Use the same process each time you do it. It's going to speed up your game. It's going to speed up your pre-game. It's going to make it faster for you, because everything's in the same format and same method that you would normally use. I highly recommend, in my opinion, Crossfire Games or GG Easy as two separate, different systems of doing it. Whichever works best for your brain, use that. I'm not going to say which one's better. That's not my place. It's whatever works for you as a human, and each human is different. Next bit on that, tied to it, is get tokens, wound markers, and whatever else that you need that's going to help keep the board clean, easy to understand, and works for you, right? So if you are a Ravenous player, get the Ravener tunnel markers, right? Again, there's so GG Easy does them on Etsy, description below. Broken Token does some amazing coloured ones on Etsy, description below. I've reviewed all of them. You can see which one works best for you. Whatever is your preferred price range, your preferred design style, doesn't really matter. Get something that works, that you're happy with, and use them on the tabletop. Because if you can just quickly be putting down those things rather than having to measure stuff out and have tokens that move and try and find some blue tack, all that sort of stuff, have it all there, have it all good to go, and have it easily accessible and ready for you. As I said, put it in the same place in your Killteam kit. If you have an organizer, put it in the same area. Get wound markers that are really easy to use. I use the Crossfire Game wound markers. There's other options available, right? Use the ones that work for you. Dial the right number in, put it on next to the model, good to go. Rather than trying to find the right size dice or whatever it is, and have that issue. I also suggest with dice, you color code them. I have small dice that I use for objective scoring. There's some more stuff coming out from Crossfire Games for that, which I'm going to do a review on separately I highly recommend those. But like if you have a little small dice that you can use, or color-coded dice for wound markers or wound tracking, whatever, like maybe you have little red dice that are for wounds, you have little blue dice that are for scores, whatever you need, right? Like if you have a certain ability like marker lights, whatever, get a token for it that's really easy to use, really clear to use, and just use them repeatedly. Having those correct tools and knowing where to find them quickly within your kit is going to speed up your game, right? Like that's a very, very tangible thing you can do. You can go out and you can add it to a Christmas list and say, hey, for Christmas, can you please buy me a token caddy with these tokens in it to be able to use on the game, and it's going to be able to get you to where you need to go quicker, which is what it's all about. Okay, next up, when you're playing the game, right? So when you're playing against your opponent, measure stuff and agree it with your opponent. Do you agree that this is this distance away from you, whatever it is? Do you agree this is the cover line? And if they say yes, then you can move on, right? I like to use like laser line, steppers, and that sort of stuff for cover line. So if it's on the 90 degree, I just say it's on the 90, and they say I'm happy, and I move on. And I say, yep, it's on the 90 degree. I then measure the distance to an objective and say, I can reach this objective with a reposition. Are you content? Yes, I'm content. And then you can move on, right? Rather than trying to like constantly finesse, adjust, move a little bit, whatever you need to do, just say, I'm within an inch of the edge, I've got this. It's essentially broadly playing by intent, but just get your opponent to agree to it. Because if they just say, I'm happy, I don't need to see it, then it's going to be quick, right? And it's going to be easy. The next bit is, if, for instance, you have a situation where it's not necessarily quick and easy to agree, then have the correct tools to be able to clear up that ambiguity as quickly as possible, right? So again, with cover lines, I like to use steppers. So I like to have a little stepper. I use from GG Easy. I think they're exactly like little poker chip ones, are exactly what you want. You just put down the poker chip, use a laser line to be able to agree the cover line, and then you can leave that poker chip on the table, right? And you can say, that is that guy's movement and cover line. And then when it comes to, hey, can you quickly show me this angle again? Boop, laser line out, done. Because we've all played it before where someone does the initial laser line and it's basically 45 degrees, and then you ask them to measure it again when you do a movement, and suddenly it's closer to 90 degree or whatever. Clears up that ambiguity. Don't need it in the game. You just be like, boom, poker chip, done, move on. And then get specific measuring tools that work for you. So I've got a measuring stick that goes from 6 inches to 10 inches, and it's extendable, and it means I have one tool on the table that is quick to find, it's in my arm's reach, it's in my periphery, and I can immediately go, yep, boom, I got that measurement that I need. Having those sort of specific tools to be able to just speed up the game is massively useful, where there's a situation where maybe you can't agree your intent with your opponent too quickly. That is my it's going to save you so much time. Like I highly recommend that you check out those two products. That's what I use. If there's something that works better for your brain, use that. But having those steppers and the 6 to 10 inch extending ruler, I think is a absolute must for Killteam. And they both, by the way, fit into the Crossfire Games Killteam kit if you want to use Crossfire Games. They both fit into the GG Easy's Killteam kit if you want to use that, and they both fit into a Tupperware pot if you want to use a Tupperware pot. Well, I don't know how big. Maybe you have a really small Tupperware pot, but they should fit. Next is use your opponent's time. A lot of people, they think during their turning point, right, during their activation, they're thinking, right, cool. And as soon as they finish doing their activation, they go, whew, thank goodness for that. Like, I'm now going to relax. I'm going to, like think about other things, and I'm going to, whatever it is, do anything but think about Killteam for however long. The only issue with that is it's going to put you behind. If you are a slow player and you know that you're slow and you're trying to speed up, you need to try and use all the available time that you have. And you want to try and create a game plan during your opponent's time. So use your opponent's time, use it effectively, start planning your next move. If they're having a bit longer, start coming up with your plan B, because a lot of people, they finish their move, their opponent starts activating, doing their move, whatever. They think of their plan and they go, oh, thank God, I've got my plan A. My melter gun is going to move over here and he's going to kill this Marine. That's what I'm going to do with my next activation. I'm happy with it. Sweet. And then their opponent goes, okay, I'm going to activate and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to kill your melter gun. And they kill the melter gun, and your opponent goes, I now don't have a plan, because I had a plan A and you nuked it, and I don't have a plan B. So use your opponent's time. Whilst they're figuring it out, whilst they're doing whatever they're doing the measuring, you agree whatever you need to do, they're doing the steppers because it's a bit close, whatever it needs to be. Say, yep, okay, that's my plan A, I'm going to go over here. My plan B is my plasma gun is going to go over here and shoot this guy. And then my plan C is I'm going to charge over here. right? Or my plan D is this, right? And you start coming up with these alternate courses of action in your head, right? So start thinking, okay, what's my backup plan? What's my backup plan? What's my backup plan? And by doing that rapidly, and obviously this is a skill set to be able to do as many of those as you possibly can do, as soon as your opponent finishes their activation, maybe it changes the board state, but all you have to do is say, how has this changed? Out of this list of courses of action that I can do, which one now remains the best? Can I stick with plan A? Do I need to go to plan B? Whatever it is. And you can then roll from there. So use your opponent's time, develop multiple courses of action during your opponent's time, and you should be onto a winner. Next one I think is it's just like this is both good sportsmanship and it's also going to help speed the game up in general, and it's particularly useful, by the way, if you're playing with people who aren't using English as their first language, right? So Killteam is played internationally, right? And there's so many people, and you know, this is, by the way, I'm not throwing any spears. I get to speak in my natural language. It's very easy for me. There's people that are speaking in their second or third language to be able to play Killteam, and they're having to process all that and do it. So if you're using, you know, if you're speaking quickly or using words that aren't helpful, whatever, it means that they have to ask clarifying questions, and it's just not necessary for you to do that. So what I mean by that is, if you make your moves clear and you make your moves clean, it means that your opponent can track what's going on. They're less likely to dispute it. They're more likely to understand what's happening, and it means that you're going to get less back and forth of having to explain what you're going to do. By that I mean, like, if you start with your model where it is, right? You've already pre-agreed, I'm on the 90, my cover line's here, so 1 inch out, 5 inches forwards, and you get a proxy and you go, I'll reposition my model to here, and then you measure out where the dash is going to be. I'm going to dash to here, and then I'm going to shoot this model over here, right? You've used the correct terminology. I've done a reposition, I've done a dash, I've done a shoot, you know, and then they can say, yep, I understand, and you throw the dice, right? Whereas if you just say, yeah, dash, reposition, shoot this guy, and you just move the model straight away, then the opponent might go, oh, sorry, can they reach that? Like, sorry, did you dash first? Like, maybe my guard's going to interact with that dash, or maybe I'm going to be able to see this here. Like, if you try to do it too fast, that's where you potentially actually slow it down. There's a common description which is slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? So keep it smooth, keep it going, use the correct terminology, keep it nice and clear for your opponent, make sure they don't have to ask those clarifying questions, even if it is their first language. If you're rapidly trying to talk through something and you're missing words, whatever, then it's going to catch people out. Good examples of this, by the way, is always when you're climbing things, because you can't climb during a dash. So people often say, like, yeah, reposition dash and climb to this building, and then your opponent says, well, how did you get there? Sorry, like, do you actually have the movement to be able to achieve that? Whereas and then you have a whole back and forth debate about it. Whereas if you just take it slow and you go, I'm going to dash up to be within 1 inch of this terrain feature, I'm then going to climb, it cost me 4 inches, I'm going to measure horizontally, and therefore I go 2 inches to here. That's my dash, reposition, and now I'm going to shoot, right? Like, it just removes ambiguity, and taking that little bit of extra time actually saves you time, whereas your opponent has to then say, sorry, but you can't reposition to here and then dash because it doesn't have the movement, whatever. So yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Use a proxy as well if you can to remove that ambiguity. Do all those sorts of stuff, and it saves you having to try and remove models back to where you need to go. And it's good, just generally good sportsmanship as well. Make the easy choices quickly, right? So if you're doing a game and you know that a model is going to go do a certain thing in the first turning point, like you have a game plan, this guy's going to go here, don't over deliberate on it, just say, yep, I'm going to move here, do that sort of thing. If it's clearly within movement ranges and potential, you don't necessarily have to waste time on it. If you're only moving 5 inches and you're movement of 10, just say, yeah, reposition, dash if I need to, I'm going to appear here, and that's what's counter to the thing. But if it's a really obvious and quick one at the start, you don't need to elaborate on it too much more than you need to do. If you are, like, you want to use that time effectively later on. Next is learning your opponent's rules, so you can speed things up. If you have an opponent has to constantly explain what their rules are, you have to constantly ask questions and clarifying questions. What's that guy's melee profile? How many attacks has he got? Does he have rending? Does he have lethal? Like, don't do that. As I said, use your opponent's time when you're doing it. Get the rules, have the app available to you, check through, go through, and answer those questions whilst your opponent is still playing the game. If you're not asking them questions, it's going to mean that they can play quickly as well, and it means that overall, as a table, you're going to get through the game quicker. So, yeah, ask those questions by using the app first, and then just ask questions quickly when you need to. But if you can learn your opponent's rules, then you're in a better place. I appreciate that's not something that everyone can do. They don't have the time to learn every single rule in the game. Next up is a just general tip. I see people spend a lot of time shaking dice in their hands, right? Like, and this wastes maybe minutes over the course of a tournament, but there's minutes that you could use for other things, right? Like you can shake dice as long as you want in your hand, and it's not more likely to roll a 6, right? Like, and everyone has their own rituals and things that they want to do, but I would say once you've made the commitment, I'm shooting here, just roll the dice. Like you're not gonna get a better result by umming and ahhing over it and hoping it's going to go through. Additionally, when you're doing melee, it's simultaneous. So roll your dice, get your dice out into the retain area as quickly as you can. Let your opponent roll their dice, because it might be that you're debating if you want to spend a CP or whatever, but your opponent rolls no hits, and you just go, oh, okay, now the decision's not yours to make, right? Because they need to figure out if they want to use a reroll, but maybe they don't have any rerolls, and therefore you're there debating, do you need to do something? And actually you don't have to roll any dice, because you can just resolve straight away and go, I've got 2 hits, you've got nothing, I'll just kill you with 8 damage. Happy, done. And you can move on, rather than being like, oh, I rolled 2 hits. I think this guy's got Ceaseless, and I might want to spend a CP reroll on that. Let me check to see if I've got Ceaseless. Oh, I do have Ceaseless. Oh, no, I need to be in range of this guy. Let me measure to see if I've got the range of that. I'm just outside of the Ceaseless range, so I might have to CP reroll. Oh, actually, maybe you can roll your dice. You see what I mean? Like, we're just wasting time. They roll their dice, and you go, oh, no hits. Cool. You have no rerolls, do you? No, sweet. Don't worry about it. Away you go. Clearly, all of that can be sped up if you knew the rules. Fine, and finally is track the score as you go. So if you can, just during a turning point, just be tracking the score on the crit op, tac ops, and whatever else you need to be able to do. Again, there is many different systems that help you do that. So Crossfire Games have their system with a little tray table that you can use with the dice. GG Easy has the same thing with little dice markers, whatever. Broken Token has the whole sort of like Killteam kill up tracker as well, with the you can actually look to see where on the grade you are. 3 different ways of doing it. I'm not saying which one's best, but like between Crossfire, GG Easy, and Broken Token, there's different systems there. Check them out, see what works best for you, and see what makes it work best in your mind. But the so what outcome is you want a system where when you get to the end of the turning point, you have to spend ages trying to like count stuff up and figure out, oh, did you tap that objective at the start, or was it at the end, or did we do that? Like, have a token that makes it really clear what's happened, and and then track it as you go. So you go, yeah, looted that, cool, looted that, cool. And then you get the end and you go, well, all we have to do is flip over the tokens, because that's we've presented a good board state. The final advice is keep a clean board and keep a clean table. So this is both good sportsmanship, and this is just like going to help you play the game quickly. If you have tokens, so I've suggested that there is tokens for everything, and it makes perfect sense to have tokens, and it is really useful to have tokens to be able to track stuff. APL modifiers, where mines are, like little range rings and that sort of stuff. Make it as easy as possible for you to be able to do things. But keep it clean. So when a mine's been used and it's been exploded, whatever, remove the mine from the table. When an operative is dead, remove its tokens from the table. Keep that table as clean as possible, because when you look at the table and you're trying to make a decision, it should be as clean and easy for you to understand that board state as possible. If there's tokens everywhere, you're not just doing a disservice to yourself, but you're doing a disservice to your opponent as well. You're slowing down your opponent's ability to make decisions. You're slowing down your own ability to make decisions. So keeping the board state clean is going to speed up the game, and it's going to be better sportsmanship for you and your opponent, right? I'm personally a big fan of like just keeping everything consistent as well. Like coloured sides should be like ready. Uncoloured sides should be expended, but check with your TO if that's different in your local area. But keeping that all consistent so that you can just look at the board state and immediately understand what is going on. Because I talk about sportsmanship, like it is really bad if you get to you finish a game or you're midway through a turning point and someone says, oh, I'm going to activate this guy, and you go, oh, but I thought they were on, I thought they were already activated. Oh no, that's this guy's token over here that died. His token is actually behind the building that you can't see, whatever. It's like, just remove those tokens from the game. Just keep that board state as clean and clear as possible. It means that you can measure quicker. It means that you can put down tokens and markers where you need to, and it means that you're going to be able to see what's going on. So a clean board is going to enable clean and quick play, which means that you can speed up as a whole table and it's good for sportsmanship as well. So I don't know how many tips that was, but I just tried to like roll in to multiple tips about how to play faster, from what you bring to the table to how you play the game. Hopefully those are useful, and some of it's prep as well. So read your rules, get the right equipment, get the right setup, get the right organizational kit and tools, get the right tools for the job, measure and agree with your opponent, and talk about those things through so you don't have to do things later. Play nice and clearly, play with stated intent, keep it nice and smooth so that your opponent can track what's going and not have to ask clarifying questions, and just roll the damn dice. Like don't worry about it, just get them on the table, figure it out later. And if it's simultaneous, just get them to roll as soon as they can do. And hopefully all those things, albeit small, each one might only save you 20 seconds here, 30 seconds here, whatever. But if each one of those saves you, half a minute, maybe I've given you 5 minutes back to be able to finish your game on time, potentially. And between you and your opponent, that might add up to a whole 10 minutes, which is the difference between a turning point or not. That's the Patreon priority question. Hopefully that was useful. But you guys have probably got a whole load more experience than me in playing games and speeding up your games. So what advice do you have? Like, is there any other tips that you have to how to speed up? Is there any particular equipment you use, or items or stuff that you have to speed your game up? Put links in the description, put comments links in your comments, so that we can check them out. Right, like if it's a certain tool that you use and you go, I can't go to a Killteam tournament without using this tool. We'll share it. Like I'm all for seeing new stuff and trying out new things. I'm working with various producers to try and make some more stuff. So Broken Token is coming out with some more bits, which I think is going to help speed up the game for me in certain areas. Stand by for a review on that. And I'm engaging with GGZ all the time with like various ideas that I have. So if I see something that you go, hey, I think it's a really good idea, I'll reach out to the guys that make this stuff routinely and say, I think you should make this, and hopefully then it comes out, and we can have it as a community to speed our games up and get better at the game, or more accurate at the game, more precise, whatever it is we're trying to do. I'm going to end it there. Thank you for listening. Hope it's been useful. As I said, if you are interested in supporting the channel, please consider the Patreon. We get access to Discord, you get access to these Patreon priority questions. You can ask your questions on the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please just give it a consideration. It really does really help us get out there. If you like the episode, please just drop a like and say, hey, what was your favourite bit about the episode? What would you like to see next time? And what events have I missed from the community? So that's the end of this. I'll see you all next time. Take it easy.
That brings us to the end of the episode. Hopefully you found something new or useful while listening, and if you did, throwing us a like would be greatly appreciated. If you want to make sure you don't miss any episodes, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the bell so you get notifications as soon as the next one drops. It really is the best way to help a small channel like ours. And if you can't wait and you do want early access, we have a Patreon where you can get exclusive access to all our content ahead of time. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Just drop a comment below and we'll get right to you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host Ryan, this has been Turning Point Tactics, and we'll see you next week.